A dog sits quietly in the corner of a shelter kennel. No barking, no growling, just watching. A volunteer slowly approaches, and the moment she reaches for the leash, the dog flinches. Not aggressively but fearfully, like he's expecting pain instead of kindness. And suddenly, the question becomes a lot more complicated than most people realize. When a pit bull has been abused, neglected, chained outside for years, or used as a status symbol instead of a companion, can they truly ever recover emotionally? Can rehabilitation undo trauma? And even if a dog does heal, will society ever give them a fair shot? Today, we're diving into one of the most emotional and controversial topics in rescue work: the ethical dilemma of rehoming pit bulls. We're delving into topics such as trauma, behavioral rehabilitation, societal perceptions, and the hard truth about the lives of rescue dogs once they've been given a new lease on life. Trauma changes dogs, just like it changes people. One of the biggest misconceptions people have about dogs, especially pit bulls, is believing behavior exists in a vacuum. People see a fearful, reactive, anxious, or aggressive dogs and immediately assume that dog is dangerous and might have to be put down. But this behavior doesn't appear out of nowhere. Behavior is communication, and many pit bulls entering shelters or rescues come from environments filled with neglect, abuse, isolation, instability, physical punishment, and sometimes abandonment. Imagine spending years chained outside with little to no human affection, or being yelled at every time you made a mistake, or being shuffled between homes over and over again, never feeling love or a connection long enough to feel safe. This alters a dog's brain function. Trauma affects dogs similarly to humans. Their nervous systems are on high alert. They might find it hard to trust, feel anxious in unknown places, or panic if there's too much stimulation. Some become reactive because they've learned the world is unpredictable and mean. A complete emotional shutdown occurs in some dogs. This is where getting better starts. Not by following orders, but by feeling safe while doing it. The rehabilitation process is not overnight. Social media has created this ridiculous fantasy that traumatized rescue dogs suddenly transform overnight and all is back to normal. Let's cue the emotional music. Dog gets adopted, tail starts wagging. Problems are suddenly over. Happy ending. Wrong. Now let's get back to reality. But real rehabilitation is quite messy, slow, emotional, and sometimes heartbreaking. Many rescued pit bulls go through a decompression period after rehoming. Rescue coordinators often describe this as the 3-3-3 rule. 3 days of overwhelm and survival mode, 3 weeks of learning routines, and 3 months of beginning to trust and feel safe in their environment. And for heavily traumatized dogs, healing can take much longer. Some dogs are terrified of men, loud noises, brooms, collars, raised voices, and sudden movements. Others may guard their food because they once literally had to fight to survive. Pretty sad, right? Behavioral rehabilitation often involves positive reinforcement training, confidence-building exercises, structure and routine, slow socialization, decompression walks, and trust building through consistency. This isn't about fixing a broken dog. It's about helping a traumatized animal relearn what safety feels like. The success stories people rarely hear about. And despite all the challenges, some of the most incredible transformation stories come from abused pit bulls. There are dogs that once sat, terrified in the corner of a kennel, later became therapy dogs. Dogs once labeled unadoptable that now sleep in beds beside children they adore. Dogs that had never known what affection suddenly become Velcro companions, following their humans from room to room because they finally discovered trust and happiness. One rescue coordinator shared the story of a pit bull named Diesel, who was rescued from a neglectful situation. At first, Diesel wouldn't even make eye contact. He pancaked to the floor anytime someone approached him. But over months of patience, routine, and gentle handling, he slowly changed. The first tail wag took weeks. The first cuddle took months. And eventually, Diesel became the dog that greeted every visitor with a toy in his mouth and excitement in his eyes. Those stories matter because they remind us of something important. Trauma may shape behavior, but it doesn't always define the future. The ethical dilemma. Now here's where things become extremely complicated. Not every dog can be safely rehomed. And this is the part many people don't want to talk about because it's painful. Rescue organizations constantly face difficult ethical decisions. Is this dog truly safe around families? Is the dog emotionally suffering? Is the environment realistic for rehabilitation? Can this dog be safely placed? Some dogs improve dramatically with training and stability. Others may continue to struggle with severe fear or reactivity despite intervention. This doesn't make them bad dogs. It just means trauma can leave such deep emotional scars. And ethical rescue work requires balancing compassion with realism. That's why experienced rescue workers work closely with behavioral specialists to individually assess dogs based on behavior, environment, and rehabilitation potential, and not on breed stereotypes. The societal hurdles pit bulls face. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, society's perception of pit bulls. Even when pit bulls successfully complete rehabilitation, many still face enormous barriers to adoption simply because of their breed label. Some apartments ban them outright. Some insurance companies penalize owners. Some people cross the street the moment they see one approaching. And sadly, media sensationalism has played a major role in this fear. Stories involving pit bull attacks receive enormous attention, while stories about loving, stable pit bulls rarely make the headlines. This creates a damaging cycle. Fewer adopters, longer shelter stays, increased stress on the dog, and more behavioral deterioration in kennel environments. And kennel stress is very real. Even emotionally healthy dogs can begin showing extreme anxiety behaviors after prolonged stays in shelters. They may begin pacing, spinning, excessive barking, or just emotionally shutting down completely. For pit bulls already carrying trauma, this can make rehabilitation so much harder. Helping dogs cope with rehoming anxiety. One of the biggest challenges rescue dogs face is anxiety during the transition into a new home. Imagine losing everything familiar to you: your smells, environment, routines, even the people you knew. Even positive change can feel crushing to a dog. That's why creating calming routines and safe spaces is so important during the rehoming process. Many behavioral specialists recommend decompression areas, predictable schedules for feeding and walks, calming enrichment toys, and slow introductions to new environments. And products designed specifically for anxiety can genuinely help dogs settle emotionally during this transition period. For example, calming enrichment toys like lick mats and anti-anxiety dog beds can provide comfort and emotional regulation for stressed dogs. Slow feeder mats and chew toys can also redirect nervous energy in healthy ways. If you're currently helping a rescued dog adjust to a forever home, I'll leave links in the description below to some products that may help reduce stress and create a safer, calmer environment during the rehoming process. Rehabilitation involves more than just training. It also includes emotional healing. Not just pit bulls suffer. And honestly, this conversation isn't really just about pit bulls. It's about what happens when fear, trauma, and misunderstandings collide. Many of these dogs didn't choose the environments they came from. They didn't choose to be neglected. They didn't choose to be abused. They didn't choose their irresponsible owners. Unfortunately, now they have to live with the consequences anyway. And sometimes the biggest transformation doesn't happen in the dog. Sometimes it happens in the human willing to finally see them differently. That doesn't mean every rescue story is an easy one. It doesn't mean rehabilitation is simple and without its challenges. But it does mean that dogs deserve to be evaluated as individuals and not stereotypes. So what do you think? Can traumatized dogs truly emotionally heal? And do you think society gives pit bulls a fair chance at rehoming? Or are old fears still shaping how people see them? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. And if you've ever rescued or fostered a pit bull, share their story. These stories mean more than people actually realize. And if you're currently helping a rescue dog adjust to a new home, check out the calming and enrichment products linked below. They may help make that transition a little easier for the both of you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around for more conversations about misunderstood breeds, rescue advocacy, and the emotional realities behind animal rehab. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. And remember, sometimes the dog society fears the most are the ones most desperately waiting for someone to finally understand them. Watch 7 Pitbull breed types. Are they victims or villains? Up next. See you in the next video.